Hello there, Junior Boy here. Welcome back to Mass Effect. Now, let's see what Nisana has to say.
I don't have time to talk now. I'm very busy.
Batia planned to open a restaurant. Instead, she gave her life protecting the colonists of Eden Prime.
You know what would have been a really nice detail with that? If in the later games, like in Mass Effect 2 or 3, you meet Batia again, you meet Samesh Batia again on the Citadel or something, and it's like the next time you meet him, he's in a restaurant. The implication being that he carried out his wife's retirement plan by opening a restaurant. That'd be nice. Hello there.
I've got big news for you, Shepard. Captain Anderson is stepping down as commanding officer of the Normandy. The ship is yours now.
Sure about this?
She's quick and quiet, and you know the crew. Perfect ship for a Spectre. Treat her well, Commander.
I will.
I'll take good care of her, sir.
I know you will, Commander.
Can I ask why?
I want the truth. Why are you stepping down, sir?
You needed your own ship. A Spectre can't answer to anyone but the Council. And it's time for me to step down.
Come clean with me, Captain. You owe me that much.
I was in your shoes 20 years ago, Shepard. They were considering me for the Spectres.
Okay. See, that's the question I want to ask, and that's all. But it's not gonna just be that, though. It's gonna say something snide. What's it gonna say?
Why didn't you ever mention this?
What was
Relax,
I supposed to say? I could have been a Spectre, but I blew it? I failed, Commander. It's not something I'm proud of. Ask me later and I'll tell you the whole story. For now, all you need to know is, I was sent on a mission with Saren, and he made sure the Council rejected me. I had my shot. It came and went. Now you have a chance to make up for my mistakes.
Don't mind if I do.
I won't let you down, sir.
Saren's gone. Don't even try to find him. But we know what he's after. The conduit. He's got his Geth scouring the Traverse looking for clues.
To follow the Geth.
We had reports of Geth in the Pharos system shortly before our colony there dropped out of contact, and there have been sightings around Noveria.
Find out what Saren was after on Pharos and Noveria. Maybe you can figure out where the conduit is before he does.
Alright, and what about the Reapers?
The Reapers are the real threat.
I'm with the Council on this one, Shepard. I'm not sure they even exist.
But if they do exist, the conduit's the key to bringing them back. Stop Saren from getting the conduit, and we stop the Reapers from returning.
Alright, sounds like a plan. As good a plan as we're gonna get, so let's go do it.
I'll stop it.
We have one more lead. Matriarch Benezia, the other voice in that recording. She has a daughter, a scientist who specializes in the Protheans. We don't know if she's involved, but it might be a good idea to try and find her.
Oh, oops.
See what she knows. Her name's Liara, Dr. Liara Tassoni. We have reports she was exploring an archaeological dig on one of the uncharted worlds in the Artemis Tau cluster.
Alright, start there.
Sounds like we should head for the Artemis Tau cluster.
It's your decision, Commander. You're a Spectre now. You don't answer to us.
But your
I do,
actions
Anderson.
still reflect on humanity as a whole. You make a mess and I get stuck cleaning it up.
Alright, I'll make sure I don't do that.
I'll try not to make things any harder on you, Ambassador.
Glad to hear it, Commander. Remember, you were a human long before you were a Spectre.
And I still will be
I
long
have a
after.
meeting to get to. Captain Anderson can answer any questions you might have.
Alright, Anderson, if you have anything you'd like to say, now is the time to say
Yes,
it.
Commander?
Are you good, Chief?
How are you holding up?
Honestly, this isn't how I pictured my career coming to an end. Pushing papers really isn't my thing, but you're the one who can stop Saren. I believe in you, Shepard. If that means I have to step aside, so be it.
You have a bit of a vested interest in Saren, don't you?
Tell me what
Saren.
happened with you and Saren 20 years ago.
It's close to 20 years ago now.
I
Ambassador
know,
Goyle
I
was
said.
our representative here on the Citadel. Like Udina, she wanted to get a human into the Spectres. She chose me. The Council sent Saren to keep an eye on me and evaluate my performance, just like they sent Nihilus to keep tabs on you.
Alright, what happened?
I think I deserve the whole
that's
story.
not what I wanted to
We
say.
get intel on a rogue scientist being funded by Batarian interests. He was trying to set up a facility to develop illegal AI technology out in the Verge. Alliance intel had done all the work, but the Council wanted a Spectre involved.
Naturally.
We compromised. I was assigned to help Saren in his investigation. We tracked the scientist to a refining facility on Kamala. He was hidden away somewhere inside, protected by an army of Batarian mercenaries. The plan was simple. Sneak into the plant, capture the scientist, sneak back out. Quick, quiet, and a minimum of bloodshed.
What happened?
I'm guessing things didn't go as planned.
Saren and I split up to cover more ground. Then about halfway through the mission, there was a massive explosion in the refinery core. Officially, it was ruled an accident, but I think Saren detonated it on purpose to draw off the enemy guards.
How many people died?
How many casualties?
The explosion tore the refinery to shreds. The whole place was on fire. Black chemical clouds poured out into the atmosphere. Nobody inside survived. There was a camp for the workers and their families nearby. Between the fires and the toxic fumes, the final death count was over 500. Mostly civilians. Saren didn't care. The target was eliminated, mission accomplished, and I ended up taking the blame. That ended all talk of me joining the Spectres.
Saren caused the explosion. How'd he pin it on you?
In his report, Saren accused me of blowing his cover. He said it was my fault the guards were ready for us. He claimed that's why it turned into a massacre. Saren's report was all the proof the Council needed to kill my chances of becoming a Spectre.
Alright. Well, we can move on from that now because we have a human Spectre.
The only thing I care about is stopping Saren.
You're right, Commander. It's no good living in the past.
What do you know of Pharos?
Any extra intel you can give me on our colony at Pharos?
The entire planet used to be one giant Prothean city. Mostly ruins now. But some of the infrastructure is still intact. The colony tried to build on what the Protheans left behind. We lost all contact with them when the Geth attacked.
Alright, that sounds like a place worth investigating. Novaria.
What can you tell me about Novaria?
Novaria's trouble. Always has been. The whole planet's basically a center for corporations to conduct illegal research. Watch your back there, Shepard. Spectres are about the only form of Citadel authority Novaria respects. But they aren't popular.
Oh, I'll be very popular when I go there. And what about Liara, Jasoniad, the Artemis Tau cluster? What's that place like?
What do you know about the Artemis Tau cluster?
Not much. I've never been there myself. A handful of systems with a few small, uncharted worlds, but no real colonies. Might not be easy finding Dr. Tassoni out there. My advice is to look for the world with the Prothean ruins.
I'd imagine there might be a few. Alright, nice knowing you, Captain Anderson. I shall see you shortly, I imagine.
I should go.
I'll be here if you need anything.
Good to know. You do that. Codex entry. Let's begin there. Oh, nice. I get to rest my voice.
In the early 2160s, the Alliance began aggressive colonization of worlds in the Skyllian Verge, much to the dismay of the Batarians, who had been developing the region for several decades. In 2171, the Batarians petitioned the Council to declare the Verge a zone of Batarian interest. The Council refused, however, declaring unsettled worlds in the region open to human colonization. In protest, the Batarians closed their Citadel embassy and severed official diplomatic relations with the Council, effectively becoming a rogue state. They instigated a proxy war in the Verge by funneling money and weapons to criminal organizations, urging them to strike at human colonies.
Dickheads.
Hostilities peaked with the Skyllian Blitz of 2176, an attack on the human capital of Elysium by Batarian-funded pirates and slavers. In 2178, the Alliance retaliated with a crushing assault on the moon of Torfin, long used as a staging base by Batarian-backed criminals. In the aftermath, the Batarians retreated into their own systems and are now rarely seen in Citadel space.
Well, you don't really see them in this game, I don't think. They are in Mass Effect 2, though. Alright then, I think that's... oh no.
Pharos is a habitable world in the Attican Beta Cluster. 2/3 of the habitable surface is covered with the ruins of a crumbling Prothean megatropolis. In the millennia since the Prothean extinction, the ruins have been repeatedly picked over by looters many times. Pharos was considered a poor prospect for colonization, as little open ground remains for agriculture. The only sizable freshwater sources are the poles, which are tapped by the decaying Prothean aqueduct systems. The dead cities, while in good condition considering their antiquity, are of uncertain stability. ground level is congested by a dozen meters of fallen debris, and the air is fouled by dust. In 2178, the Human Exogeny Corporation announced its intention to place a permanent colony on Pharos to thoroughly explore the ruins. The pioneer settlement was placed on the upper levels of several intact skyscrapers, using the surviving Prothean aqueducts and rooftop hydroponic gardens to support the population.
Cool. Well, Council, I think there's your Reaper evidence. You know, let's just take into a fact that, alright, look at the Prothean ruins. They are destroyed. Not decayed, destroyed. There was a battle here, clearly. And when you say, oh, where are the Reapers now? Why did they vanish? Well, we don't know why they vanished, but given the fact that they are not here, that would suggest that they have vanished. Which backs up the fact that they exist. Which means the Geth believe in them. That's bad enough. Anyway, Noveria.
Noveria is a cool, rocky world with most of its hydrosphere locked up in massive glaciers. A privately chartered colony world, the planet is owned by the Noveria Development Corporation Holding Company. The NDC is funded by investment capital from 24 high-technology development firms and administrated by an executive board representing their interests. The investors built remote hot labs in isolated locations across Noveria's surface. These facilities are used for research too dangerous or controversial to be performed elsewhere, as Noveria is technically not part of Citadel space and therefore exempt from Council law.
Oh, sneaky
By
shit.
special arrangement, Citadel special tactics and reconnaissance agents have been granted extraterritorial privileges, but it remains to be seen how committed the Executive Board is to that principle. Given its unique situation, it is understandable that Noveria is often implicated in all manner of wild conspiracy theories.
Very, very interesting. Uncharted world.
There are between 2 and 400 billion stars in the galaxy, and less than 1% of them have ever been visited or had their systems properly surveyed. Humanity's early expansion into the Attican Traverse was haphazard, a desperate race to claim habitable planets where populations can be economically settled. Ignored in the wake of this land grab were thousands of less hospitable worlds, each potentially rich with industrial resources. The wealth of entire solar systems lies untapped, waiting for corporate survey teams or independent pioneers to discover and exploit them. However, this is not an easy task. In addition to the environmental hazards, the fact that uncharted worlds are largely ignored makes them popular bases for criminals, revolutionaries, cults, and others who wish to remain unnoticed by galactic society.
Good to know. We are going to start with a few places. We are not going to be progressing with the main campaign missions. We are going to be progressing with some of these side missions that people have asked for us. So, there's a hostage situation going on in the Hades Gamma Cluster by a group of biotics. We'll start there.
Decontamination in progress.
I heard what happened to Captain Anderson. Survives 100 battles and then gets taken down by backroom politics. Just watch your back, Commander. Things go bad on this mission, you're next on their chopping block.
Well, it won't go wrong, so let's do it.
Saren's out there somewhere, and we're gonna find him.
Everyone on this ship's behind you, Commander. 100%. Intercom's open. If you got anything you want to say to the crew, now's the time.
Alright, I'm going to tell it to you guys straight.
Crew, this is Commander Shepard.
We have our orders. Find Saren before he finds the conduit.
Humanity needs to do this.
Not just for our own sake, but for the sake of every other species in Citadel space. Saren must be stopped. And I promise you all, we will stop him.
Well said, Commander. Captain will be proud.
Alright, sure. That was quite short, but we told to him straight. Yeah, we're not going to let any of them down.
The captain gave up everything so I could have this chance. We can't fail.
Yes, sir.
There was no point in that music. It did kind of... I got +2 Paragon points, that was nice. There was no point in that music because it was just a little bit jarring, the way it just chimed back in then for a second and then cut out like 2 seconds later. A viewport. Huh. I'm not going to read all of those just yet. I'm going to talk to everyone and then I'm going to read the codex logs. Joker!
Commander, something you need?
What's up with the ship?
How's the Normandy performing? Is she everything they said she'd be?
She's the best ship in the fleet, if you've got a pilot who knows how to handle her. Balance isn't what you'd expect. Takes a while to get used to that oversized drive core we got stuffed in the back, and her power can sneak up on you if you're not careful. The Normandy's probably too much ship for your average Alliance pilot, Commander. Lucky for you, I'm anything but average.
Alright, put your dick away.
I like to know my crew. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
I can see where this is going. You did a background check on me, didn't you?
No.
Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told the captain. You want me as your pilot. I'm not good. I'm not even great. I am the best damn helmsman in the Alliance fleet. Top of my class in flight school, I earned that. All those commendations in my file, I earned every single one. Those weren't given to me as charity for my disease.
I think you've got me wrong here, Joker.
I'm sorry, Joker. I didn't even know you were sick.
You mean you didn't know? Oh, crap. Okay, I've got Vrolik syndrome, brittle bone disease. The bones in my legs never develop properly. They're basically hollow, too much force and they'll shatter. Even with crutches and my leg braces, it's hard to get around. One wrong step and crack! It's very dramatic. But I've learned to manage my condition, Commander. Put the Normandy in my hands and I'll make her dance for you. Just don't ask me to get up and dance unless, you know, you like the sound of snapping shin bone.
How'd you get into the nickname Joker?
Why does everyone call you Joker?
It's a lot shorter than saying Alliance Flight Lieutenant Jeff Moreau. Plus, I love to make little children laugh.
I believe that when I see it.
I was just thinking how much you remind me of Santa Claus.
Look, I didn't pick the name. One of the instructors in flight school used to bug me about never smiling. She started calling me Joker, and it stuck.
Were you unhappy?
Why didn't you ever smile?
Hey, I worked my ass off in flight school, Commander. The world's not gonna hand you anything if you go around grinning like an idiot. By the end of the year, I was the best pilot in the academy, even better than the instructors, and everybody knew it. They'd all got their asses kicked by the sickly kid with the creaky little legs. One guess who was smiling at graduation?
I mean, you don't have to be handed things, but like, cause you're not grinning. I mean, you can grin your ass off and take things for yourself. I try it all the time. I might not always be successful, but sometimes I am. So, what's this brittle bone syndrome about?
I need to know more about this Vrolik syndrome if I'm putting my ship in your hands.
That weren't how I meant to say it.
Yeah, of course you do. It's an extremely rare condition. Nobody knows exactly what causes it. Genetic, maybe. It's treatable, but there's no cure. I classify my case as moderate to severe. I was born with over a dozen fractures, hip, thighs, ankles. My bones were already breaking in the womb. 100 years ago, I wouldn't have survived past my first year. Lucky for me, modern medical science has turned me into a productive member of society.
Alright. You don't really want to talk about it, do you?
I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. Let's talk about something else.
Whatever you want, Commander.
Excuse me, I'm gonna go meet the crew.
I have to go.
Alright, see ya.
Nav Manual 141. Codex. Alright. Presley! Hey, Chad.
If anyone has to take over for Captain Anderson, I'm glad it's you. I'm not sure about having non-humans on our ship, though.
They'll be fine.
We're all on the same team here, Presley.
With all due respect, sir, that's what they said about Nihilus. Look how that turned out.
Yeah, Nihilus was on our team. Not quite sure what your point is there. I don't want to say that because it's gonna sound mad. What's up?
Speak freely, Presley. I want to know if you have a problem with non-humans.
It's not that, Commander. Humanity has always handled its own problems. Saren attacked one of our colonies. We should be the ones to stop it. We don't need their help.
And we can stop him a lot quicker with his help.
Some people think asking for help is a sign of weakness. That's just being stupid and stubborn. No matter how strong you are, allies can make you stronger.
Beast!
I guess so. Maybe I'm just stuck in the old ways of thinking. But don't worry, Commander. This won't be a problem.
Oh, Chad. Who are you, Presley?
How did you end up assigned to the Normandy?
I signed up with the Alliance as a navigator right out of school, following in my grandfather's footsteps, I guess. My first posting was on the Agincourt. We were one of the first reinforcements to arrive at Elysium after the Blitz hit. Those raiders were no match for an Alliance frigate. Of course, the only reason the colony was still standing was because of you, Commander. I can't believe you held out as long as you did.
Well, I don't really have anything to say about that, really. I didn't exactly see it, did I? I just kind of read about it post game start. So, how'd you end up here?
How'd you end up on the Normandy?
I got my officer's commission after Elysium. Must have made an impression on the right people. Captain asked for me when he was picking his crew.
Alright then. I think that's it, right?
How did you end up assigned to this?
Alright, we've done that, yep.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Paragon +2, Codex entry. Nice, we've got a lot of Codex readings to do in a bit. Okay, no. Door control, actually. Can we go through here first? No, right, so there's nothing in here. This is just a communications room. There's not even any Codex logs or anything. You don't have to salute every time I walk past, don't worry about it. Right, let's see who's down here. I can't actually remember where. Oh, I remember where Gareth's chilling out actually. It's down there, I believe. Nope, it's in here. No, it's not. Wait, what? I can't remember. Caden! Good evening, Chad. Looks like you're sweating. You good, Chief?
Anything you need, Commander?
What do you think about all this?
Just trying to get a sense of where the crew's at. Thoughts?
I've wasted enough of your time for now, Commander. We'll have time for personal debriefings later.
Tactical bit. What's that about?
What's your opinion on the last mission?
I don't see how we could have done things any better. At least not without getting to Eden Prime sooner. And we were on the scene faster than any other Alliance ship could have been.
Alright then. I mean, there's not really much
We'll talk another time, Lieutenant.
Not really much to say about that.
Commander?
Cool. Sleeper pod. Ooh, look at that. We can get a Codex log after that in a minute. I'm gonna get tired of all these. I'm not. I love reading them. I love learning about lore, as long as the lore is interesting. Personnel manual. Lore. Ah, this is a good room to be in Mass Effect 2, I think. Shepard's locker. Ah, nice. Take all. Codex. Now we're getting somewhere. Place Medigel. I didn't know I could do that. Okay. Dr. Chocolatus.
Yes, Commander? Is there something you need?
Well, not need, but want. How are you today, Dr. Chakwas?
How did you end up serving on an Alliance ship?
I enlisted right out of med school. Earth always seemed boring to me. Too safe, too secure. I figured the colonies were teeming with exotic adventure. I wanted to travel the stars, tending the wounds of tough soldiers with piercing eyes and sensitive souls. Turns out military life isn't quite as romantic as I'd imagined. But humanity needs the Alliance if we want to keep expanding through the Traverse, and the Alliance always needs good doctors. So I stayed on to do my part.
That was very respectful.
Ever think you made the wrong choice?
Sometimes I think about opening a private practice back on Earth, or maybe taking a position at one of the new med centers out in the colonies. But there's something special about working on soldiers. If I left the Alliance now, I'd feel like I was abandoning them.
We're happy to have you. What do you know about Caden?
How well do you know the Lieutenant?
I'd never worked with him before this mission. But he has an impressive service record, over a dozen special commendations. Tends to keep to himself, though. Maybe because of the headaches. It's not easy being an L2.
What's that?
What does that have to do with it?
Well, most biotics now use the L3 implant. Lieutenant Alenko was wired with the old L2 configuration. Sometimes there are complications.
What kind?
What kind of complications?
Severe mental disabilities, insanity, crippling physical pain. There's a long list of horrific side effects. Caden's lucky. He just gets migraines.
Oh, alright. Good for him.
I should go.
Nice
Goodbye,
knowing you.
Commander.
Nice speaking to you. This elevator is so slow, I want to punch my screen. The elevator was actually it's short. Okay. Right, we've got 3 people in here. Rex. This room is probably one of those diverse rooms in the game. You got Rex. You got a Krogan, a human, and a Turian. What's up, Garrus?
Thanks for
now
bringing
I'm behind
me on board,
you.
Command. I knew working with a Spectre would be better than life at CSEC.
What gave it away?
Have you worked with a Spectre before?
Well, no, but I know what they're like. Spectres make their own rules. You're free to handle things your way. At CSEC, you're buried by rules. The damn bureaucrats are always on your back.
Can't be that bad, can it?
For the most part, the rules are there for a reason.
Maybe. But sometimes it feels like the rules are only there to stop me from doing my work. If I'm trying to take down a suspect, it shouldn't matter how I do it, as long as I do it. But CSEC wants it done their way. Protocol and procedure come first. That's why I left.
Is that it? Anything else?
So you just quit because you didn't like the way they do things?
There's more to it than that. It didn't start out bad, but as I rose in ranks, I got saddled with more and more red tape. CSEC's handling of Saren was typical. I just couldn't take it anymore. I hate leaving.
Alright, well, we're glad to have you.
I hope you made the right choice. I'd hate for you to regret it later.
Well, that's sort of why I teamed up with you. It's a chance for me to get off the Citadel, see how things are done outside CSEC. Either way, I plan to make the most of this. And without CSEC headquarters looking over my shoulder, well, maybe I can get the job done my way for a change.
Alright, well, I don't know what Shepard's gonna say with this. Let's just let him speak.
If getting the job done means endangering innocent people, then no. We get the job done right, not fast. Got it?
I wasn't trying to. I understand, Commander.
Damn, that's not what I wanted him to say, but sure. I see. Again, I would have gone for the bottom option if I didn't assume that was the bad option. I don't trust it. I'd imagine that there's gonna be some kind of dialogue behind it that's like it's more than what the dialogue says. Ashley, what say you?
Commander?
How we doing?
What's your opinion on the last mission?
Kinda wish you'd got there sooner, Commander. No offense, I appreciate the rescue. I just wish...
You wish you'd been able to save the rest of your unit.
Yes, sir. If I had been more alert, we wouldn't have been cut down by an ambush.
Can't have been, that's the point of an ambush. Can't be alert all the time.
The Geth are perfect ambushers. They don't move, they don't make noise, they don't even breathe.
Sir, they have flashlight heads. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
I like that response. Is there anything you need to say?
Do you have a few minutes to talk one-on-one?
I'm sorry, Commander. I need to get my duty squared away.
We'll have a lot more dialogue
I wouldn't mind talking more later, though.
Oh wow, that sounded like a move.
Dismissed, Chief.
Sir.
Yeah, no, yeah, there'll be more dialogue options later. Rex! I'm glad I know someone like that.
Nice ship you've got, Shepard. What can I do for you?
Personal inquiry.
What's your story, Rex?
There's no story. Go ask the Quarian if you want stories.
Oh, we'll get to her in a sec. Come on.
You Krogan live for centuries. Don't tell me you haven't had a few interesting adventures.
Well, there was this one time the Turians almost wiped out our entire race. That was fun.
It's unfortunate.
I heard about that. You know, they almost did the same to us.
It's not the same.
Sure it is.
It seems similar enough to me.
So your people were infected with a genetic mutation? An infection that makes only a few in 1,000 children survive birth?
1 in 1,000.
And I suppose it's destroying your entire species?
I see your point.
I suppose it isn't all the same.
I don't expect you to understand, but don't compare humanity's fate with the Krogan.
Alright.
Sorry, Rex. I wasn't trying to get you upset.
Your ignorance doesn't upset me, Shepard. As for the Krogan, I gave up on them long ago. The genophage infected us, but it's not what's killing us.
Why did you say that?
Are your people really dying?
We're sure not getting any stronger. We're too spread out. None of us are interested in staying in our own system.
How's that? Well, what's the effect of that?
Lots of species have left their homes and prospered.
But they go to colonize new worlds. We're not settlers. We're warriors. We want to fight. So we leave. Hire ourselves out. And most of us never go back.
So what exactly is the genophage?
What can you tell me about the genophage?
Ask the Solarians if you want details. They made it.
Get a bit more info in the Mass Effect 2.
All I know, it makes breeding nearly impossible. Thousands die in stillbirth, and most never get that far. Every Krogan is infected. Every one. And no one's rushing to find a cure.
Not even after all this time?
Why don't the Krogan try to find a cure?
When was the last time you saw a Krogan scientist?
I haven't seen many Krogan, to be
Ask
fair.
a Krogan. Would he rather find a cure for the genophage or fight for credits? He'll choose fighting every time. It's just who we are, Shepard. I can't change that. Nobody can.
You can change yourself. You don't have to change everyone else.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
See you in a bit, man. Let's speak to Quarian. Let's lighten the mood a little bit. Engineer Adams. Field integrity monitor. Element 0 core. Oh, okay, nice. Tally.
Your ship's amazing, Shepard. I've never seen a drive core like this before. I can't believe you were able to fit it into a ship this small.
Me neither. I didn't design it.
I'm starting to understand why you humans have been so successful. I had no idea Alliance vessels were so advanced.
I picked this option once. This was basically the option that gave it away to me, that the bottom option was normally the snide option. I'm not gonna pick it, but basically, he's like, "Are you spying on us for the Quarians?" And it's like, no. Anyway, normally they're not.
The Normandy's a prototype. Cutting-edge technology.
A month ago, I was patching a makeshift fuel line into a converted tug ship in the flotilla. Now, I'm sitting on board one of the most advanced vessels in Citadel space.
So you're a ship engineer?
I have to thank you again for bringing me along. Traveling on a vessel like this is a dream come true for me.
So you're into ships?
I had no idea you found ship technology so interesting.
It comes with being a Quarian. The Migrant fleet is the key to the survival of my people. Ships are our most valuable resource. But we don't have anything like this. We make do with cast-offs and second-hand equipment. We just try to keep them running for as long as we can. Some of the fleet's larger vessels date all the way back to our original flight from the Geth.
300 years ago, right?
I can't believe your fleet's still using ships that are 3 centuries old.
That wasn't quite what I meant to say.
They're constantly being repaired, modified, and refitted. They aren't pretty, but they work. Mostly. We've tried to make ourselves as independent as possible on the flotilla. Grow our own food, mine, and process our own fuel. But some things we just can't make on our own. A patch to maintain the hull integrity requires raw materials we just don't have. That's why our pilgrimages are so important.
I mean, by now you guys have got to be very good at ship maintenance.
Tell me about your people.
Our lives aren't easy. Resources are scarce, and we are constantly on the move. Everything we do must in some way contribute to the continuation of the Migrant fleet. There are 17 million Quarians in the flotilla, and each of us relies on the others for survival. The bonds among my people are strong. Unfortunately, we have had to surrender many of the freedoms and civil liberties other species take for granted.
What are those?
What kind of freedoms?
Well, it's illegal for parents to have more than one child. If our population grows too much, it would strain our resources to their breaking point. Of course, we also can't allow our numbers to become too few. If our population is in decline, the rule against single births is temporarily repealed. In extreme cases of population decline, incentives are even offered to encourage multiple births. Though the Conclave hasn't had to take such measures in nearly a century.
What, the Conclave?
That's your government.
The Conclave is our civilian branch of government. Each ship can elect a representative to serve on the Conclave and make decisions that affect the fleet as a whole. On matters that affect an individual ship, however, the captain has the final say. It's a tradition that dates back to the early days, when the fleet was governed by martial law. Fortunately, most captains nowadays are smart enough to have an elected council from their crew to give them advice and guidance.
Democracy.
So the ultimate power rests with elected officials.
In practice, the Conclave and the respective council for each ship tend to set the rules that govern our daily lives. but in theory we are still under military jurisdiction. The 5 top-ranking military officials in the fleet serve on the Admiralty Board. These 5 have the power to overrule any decision by the Conclave in case of emergency. To do so requires unanimous agreement among the Admiralty, and they can only do this once. After that, the entire board must resign their posts. It's a safeguard that served us well. In nearly 3 centuries, the Admiralty Board has only overruled the Conclave 4 times.
Sounds good. What about the Geth?
I want to know more about the Geth.
I doubt I can tell you anything you don't already know. It's been almost 3 centuries since they drove my people into exile.
You know how to retrieve a memory code.
All I know is the story of their origins. What they were when we created them, and how they turned on us.
What's that story?
Interesting.
The Geth were originally
Shepard.
created to serve as an automated manual labor force. Initially, their intelligence was as limited as any VI. Over time, we made small modifications to their programming to allow them to perform more varied and complex tasks, bringing them closer and closer to true AI status.
Isn't AI research illegal?
How come the Council didn't step in and stop you?
This wasn't true AI research. We may have been skirting the bounds of the law, but we never did anything that was actually
Wasn't
illegal.
it the creation of the Geth that
The
made it
changes
illegal?
were so insignificant, so gradual, that we were able to control them. Or so we thought. But one thing we underestimated was the power of the neural network. A million Geth thinking simultaneously created an inherently unstable matrix.
What's that?
So, the Geth share brain power?
Many of the Geth's logic systems were designed to work in concert with other nearby Geth. Basically, the more of them you have in a group, the smarter they are.
Bit like a hive mind.
So there's some sort of group consciousness?
No, nothing like that. They cannot share sensory data or information. Their programming cannot handle that much simultaneous input. Each Geth maintains an individual awareness and identity. The neural network only operates on a process-based level. It's basically the synthetic equivalent of a subconscious. But when they're in close proximity, they can coordinate low-level functional processes, freeing up more capacity for original or independent thought.
I think I get it. So how come they turned the Quarians?
What made them rebel?
As we built more and more Geth, their effective intelligence became more sophisticated, more abstract. One day, a Geth began to ask its Quarian overseer questions about the nature of its existence. Am I alive? Why am I here? What is my purpose? As you can imagine, this caused a near panic among my people.
I can imagine why, but why?
I don't see what's so bad about those questions.
I get it,
The
but...
Geth were created to engage in mundane, repetitive, or dangerous manual labor. That's fine for machines, but it won't satisfy a sentient being for long. The Geth were showing signs of rudimentary self-awareness and independent thought. If the Geth were intelligent, then we were essentially using them as slaves. It was inevitable the newly sentient Geth would rebel against their situation. We knew they would rise up against us, so we acted first. A general order went out across all Quarian-controlled systems to permanently deactivate all Geth. The Geth responded to this order violently.
Naturally. Okay, be very careful about the way you say this, Shepard, because I know what you're like.
You can't blame them for fighting for their survival.
We had no other choice. The Geth were already on the verge of revolution. By acting quickly, we had a chance to end the war before it began. The hope was that most of the Geth would still be little more than machines, incapable of organized resistance. But they had progressed much further than anyone anticipated. The war was long and bloody. Millions upon millions of Quarians died at their hands. In the end, we were forced to flee our own homeworld. We feared the Geth would pursue us, but they never came beyond the Veil. Now we drift through space, exile, searching for a way to reclaim what was once ours.
Again, be careful about the way you say this, Shepard. This wasn't quite... You didn't say what I wanted you to say the first time, but let's see what you say now.
It's hard to feel sorry for
No! That's not what I said.
your ancestors tried to wipe out another species.
We made a mistake when we created the Geth in the first place. But we did not make a mistake when we went to war against them. If we had not acted, they would have wiped us out.
They still have.
They're a synthetic life form. They have no use for organics. None.
They don't need a use for you.
Why do you think they cut themselves off from the rest of the galaxy? Why do you think they've killed every organic being who's ever tried to contact them?
Because they think you're their enemy. There's a reason why they haven't progressed out of the Veil. It's because they want nothing to do with us. It's not because they want to kill us all. It's because it's not because they want to kill us all. It's because they don't want to fight us. They just want to exist. They just want to carry on their existence separate from organics because they know that organics will treat them as the enemy. We still do. We have, and it would seem that we will. Not everyone.
They didn't kill Saren.
What does that tell you? The Geth are not innocent victims in all this. They're the enemy. They want to destroy us. Not just the Quarians. All organic life. That's why they've joined up with Saren. And that's why we have to stop him.
Alright, let's start there. Pilgrimage.
I want to know more about the pilgrimage.
When my people reach maturity, we leave our birth ships and seek acceptance with a new crew. It's necessary to maintain genetic diversity among the fleet. But no ship wants to accept someone who will be a burden on them. So, to prove our worth, we embark on a pilgrimage. We set out alone, leaving the flotilla and our families behind us. We only return once we have found something of value we can bring back to the fleet. This is presented as a gift to the captain of the respective ship we wish to join. If the gift is accepted, we are welcomed into the crew.
I take it they don't always accept.
Can a captain choose to reject the gift?
That doesn't happen often. Most captains are eager to increase the size of their crew. It increases their own standing in our society. Even when a gift is not particularly valuable, the captain usually accepts it out of a sense of tradition. However, there is a stigma to presenting a substandard gift.
Naturally.
It's not the best way to make a good impression on a new community. Most pilgrims don't return until they find something worthwhile.
Alright, let's change topics.
I want to talk about something else.
Like what?
I think that's all for this.
I should go.
See you later.
See you later. Engineer Adams, what say you?
Hey, Commander, you know that Quarian, Tally? She's been spending all her time down here asking me about our engines.
I'll talk to her.
I'll tell her to leave.
No, that's not what I wanted you to say.
What? No, she's amazing. I wish my guys were half as smart as she is. Give her a month on board and she'll know more about our engines than I do. She's got a real knack for technology, that one. I can see why you wanted her to come along.
I didn't. Yeah, she's useful.
I figured she'd be a real asset to the team.
You got an eye for Tally, Commander. But I'm guessing that's not why you came down here.
I came here to see how you were doing and to see what you know about the Normandy. This ship has a stealth system. What's that about?
Fill me in on the IES stealth system.
Didn't even know
how
what
does it work exactly?
You can't hide a ship out in space. They emit too much heat and radiation. Too easy for sensors to pick them up. Unless you find a way to capture those emissions. So our stealth systems trap the energy we give off in storage sinks built into the ship itself. No emissions to give away our location. Eventually the sinks have to be vented. More than a few hours silent running and they overheat. Cook us inside our own hull.
So we're effectively invisible?
There's no way for anyone to detect us?
A visual scan can still pick us up. Anyone looking out a window can see us plain as day. But you have to be pretty close to get an actual visual out in space. Most vessels rely on scanners. As long as the stealth systems are engaged, they can't see us. Not unless we accelerate to FTL speeds.
And that's what gives us away.
Why doesn't it work with faster than light travel?
Cranking up to FTL blue shifts our emissions, pushes them into frequencies too high to capture in the sinks. As soon as we make the jump, it's like setting off a flare. Sensors can pick up our location whenever we enter or exit FTL flight, but for short-range missions, our stealth systems are amazing, and we've got the only one.
Oh, damn. Normandy!
I want to know more about the Normandy.
She's the best ship I've ever served on, probably the fastest vessel ever designed. And she's the only one using the new Tantalus Drive core.
I wonder if that's why the Paradox console department is known as Tantalus. No. Drive core?
What's so special about the Tantalus Drive core?
Proportionally, it's about twice the size of any other vessel. Not only are we faster, we can run at FTL speeds longer before we have to discharge the core.
So we're pretty much like the best ship in the fleet.
Where else have you served, Adams?
If you name a class of Alliance ship, I've probably served on it. Everything from dreadnoughts and carriers right down to frigates like the Normandy. My last assignment was on the Tokyo, only a cruiser, but she was a good ship. Couldn't hold a candle to the Normandy, though.
Hell yeah. Alright. We're pretty much an hour in.
Carry on, Adams.
That's nice.
Aye, aye, Commander.
Let's read some codex logs. Oh god. Secondary. Alright, let's begin with aliens, non-council races. Krogan Genophage. The Genophage bioweapon was created to end the Krogan Rebellions. From the start, the Krogan had overwhelmed the Council. Only timely first contact with the Turians saved the Council races. The Turians fought the Krogan to a standstill, but sheer weight of Krogan numbers indicated the war could not be won through conventional means. The Turians collaborated with the Solarians to genetically engineer a counter to the rapid breeding of the Krogan. The Genophage virus gained the energy to replicate by eating key genetic sequences. Every cell in every Krogan had to be altered for the weapon to be foolproof, otherwise the Krogan could have used gene therapy to fix the affected tissues. Once a Genophage strain could find no more genes to eat, it would starve and die, limiting spin-off mutation and contamination. This created genetic flaw is hereditary. The Solarians believed the Genophage would be used as a deterrent, a position the Turians viewed as naive. Once the project was complete, the Turians mass-produced and deployed it. The Krogan homeworld, their colonies, and all occupied worlds were infected. The resulting mutation made only 1 in 1,000 Krogan pregnancies carry to term. It did not reduce fertility, but offspring viability. The rare females able to carry children to term became prizes the Krogan warlords fought brutal battles over. The Krogan are a shadow of their former glory. While the rebellions took place centuries ago, they are constantly reminded of the horror of the Genophage, and of their inability to counter it. The release of the Genophage is still controversial, bitterly debated in many circles. The Krogan Rebellions. After the Rachni War, which we'll learn about shortly, not in this episode, definitely. After the Rachni War, the quick-breeding Krogan expanded at the expense of their neighbours. Warlords leveraged their veteran soldiers to seize living space, while the Council races were still grateful. Over centuries, the Krogan conquered world after world. There was always just one more needed. When the Council finally demanded withdrawal from the Asari colony of Lucia, Krogan Overlord Krenak stormed off the Citadel, daring the Council to take their worlds back. But the Council had taken precautions. The finest STG operators and Asari Huntresses had been drafted into a covert observation force, the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance. The Spectres opened the war with crippling strategic strikes. Krogan planets went dark as computer viruses flooded the extranet. Sabotaged antimatter refineries disappeared in blue-white annihilation. Headquarters stations shattered. Headquarters stations shattered into orbit-clogging debris, rammed by pre-placed suicide freighters. Still, this only delayed the inevitable. The war would have been lost if not for first contact with the Turians, who responded to Krogan threats with a prompt declaration of war. Being on the far side of Krogan space from the Council, the Turians advanced rapidly into the lightly defended Krogan rear areas. Oh! Assaulted from both sides, that is not nice. The Krogan responded by dropping space stations and asteroids on Turian colonies. 3 worlds were rendered completely uninhabitable. Oh. This was precisely the wrong approach to take with the Turians. Each is first and foremost a public servant, willing to risk his life to protect his comrades. Rather than increasing public war wariness, Krogan tactics stiffened the Turian resolve. The arrival of Turian task forces saved many worlds from the Warlord's marauding fleets, but it took development of the Genophage bioweapon to end the war. There were decades of unrest afterwards. rogue warlords and holdout groups of insurgents refused to surrender or disappeared into the frontier systems to become pirates. I mean, yeah, the Krogans, they just got too greedy and they had to be stopped. It sucks that, again, Krogans nowadays had nothing to do with it, but they're still suffering the consequences. But until they change, there's not really much that can be done about it. Unless they prove that they're capable of changing and sort of working with the galaxy instead of against them, then there's not really much that we can do to help them. The Migrant fleet has little economic base, operating in a state of perpetual hand-to-mouth. While Quarian ships include light manufacturing and assembly plants, they lack heavy industries such as refining and shipbuilding. The fleet has tankers for water purification and oxygen cracking, but the space-intensive nature of agriculture limits food production. A single disaster could destroy the fragile balance. The Quarians earn income in creative ways. Because the government is obliged to provide food, water, air, and medical support for every individual, the Conclave strategically determines the course of the fleet to bring in resources and income. A species who suspects the Migrant fleet is heading towards their space often offers a gift of surplus starships, fuel, and resources to convince the Conclave to alter course. As the fleet passes through the system, swarms of mining vessels work over asteroids for metals and siliceous materials and cometary bodies for water, ice, and organics. Quarian miners are adept at locating and strip mining spaceborne resources. This sparks conflict with corporations already working the system. Large mining concerns spend millions on lobbyists and public relations portraying the Quarians as locusts, devouring the resources of a system before moving on. The greatest asset of the Quarians is their rarefied skills. Most are experienced miners, due to their life of perpetual salvage and repair. They are skilled engineers and technicians. More than once, the very corporations that lobby against the Quarians have made backroom deals with the fleet, arranging for skilled Quarians to fill space engineering jobs that other species would demand higher wages for. Quarians are widely hated among the other working classes. The Quarians are coming to take our jobs is a common response to the fleet's approach. Well, maybe if we let them move to our... maybe if we just get... I mean, there's only 17 million of them, do you know what I mean? There's more jobs. Maybe if we just gave them, like, other jobs. Maybe if we just gave them other jobs, like, you know, we just integrated them into... you know, like every other kind of job we have. There'd be plenty of jobs to go around. Like, let's be honest, there are plenty of jobs to go around. There aren't no jobs. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on now. Quarians' government. Due to the Quarians' precarious existence and the need to enforce strict rationing, government is somewhat autocratic. The Migrant fleet's operations are directed by the Admiralty, a board of 5 military officers who are advised by a legislative body called the Conclave. Each vessel in the fleet has the right to send representatives to the Conclave aboard the flagship. The number of representatives is based on crew size. Larger clans with bigger ships and more votes form the cores of political blocs. Opposition comes from the Outriders Coalition, with delegates from thousands of smaller ships. The Admiralty defers to the Conclave's decisions in most circumstances. However, if all 5 members agree that the Conclave decision jeopardizes the survival of the fleet and cannot get the Conclave to address their concerns, they have the right to summarily overturn the legislative decision. After the Admiralty uses this extraordinary power, they must resign. If the Admiralty does not step down after using their veto, the rest of the military is obliged to arrest them. Each ship captain has authority over his vessel, but is advised by an elected civilian council, just as the Admiralty is advised by the Conclave. This relationship may range from cooperation to polite tolerance to outright hostility, but any captain who overrules his council without good reason is relieved of command by the Admiralty. Many Quarian ships are owned by clans who pool their resources to purchase used vessels from private sellers. Large ships are prestigious for big, rich clans, but a small ship means status for a small clan with enough personal wealth to afford a private vessel. Clan vessel captains are not subject to dismissal by the Admiralty. Abusive captains are a family problem if they do not disrupt the operations of the fleet. Quarians, Migrant fleet. The Migrant fleet is the largest concentration of starfaring vessels in the galaxy. Sprawling across millions of kilometers, it can take days for the entire fleet to pass through a mass relay. Let's remember that. When the Quarians fled their homeworld, the fleet was a motley aggregation of freighters, shuttles, industrial vessels, and the odd warship. After 3 centuries, all have been modified to support large crews as comfortably as possible. As the Quarians achieved stability, they began weeding out the ships least suitable for long-term habitation, selling them, and pooling the money to buy larger and more space-worthy hulls. This process is ongoing, as vessels wear and break down. While some ships enjoy dedicated cabins with full privacy and sanitary facilities, many more are former freighters, whose cargo bays and containers are pressurized and divided into family spaces using simple metal cubicle bulkheads. The Quarians enliven these austere spaces with colourful quilts and tapestries, which also help muffle sound. The day-to-day operations of the fleet, traffic control, station keeping, supply distribution, and so on, are under military jurisdiction. Though ship captains have the authority to deviate from their assigned positions and may leave the fleet at any time, they are assumed to do so at their own risk. As the Migrant fleet moves around the galaxy, many ships split off to pursue individual goals, returning days or years later. Quarian's Pilgrimage, I believe we've already read that one. Citadel and Galactic Government. What are we looking at here? Oh, we've got a lot to bring down here. We've read that. Citadel Station, Citadel Security Services, or CSEC. Citadel Security is a volunteer police service answering to the Citadel Council. The 200,000 constables of CSEC are responsible for maintaining public order in the densely populated Citadel. They also provide pirate suppression, customs enforcement, and search and rescue throughout the Citadel cluster. CSEC has 6 divisions: enforcement, uniformed officers who patrol the Citadel and respond to emergencies; investigation, detectives who puzzle out the truth behind crimes and bring perpetrators to justice; customs, screens the thousands of passengers and cargo containers that pass through the Citadel's ports every day; network, deals with cybercrimes like identity and copyright theft, hacking and viral attacks, and illegal artificial intelligence. That's okay, we've dealt with one. Special Response deals with hostage situations, bombs, and heavily armed criminals. In the unlikely event that attackers board the Citadel, they are also the front line of defense, armed with military-grade equipment. Patrol, naval arm, with ships stationed throughout the Citadel cluster. Unlike the other divisions, they are rarely seen at the Citadel, nor do they stay in one place long. Joining CSEC is prestigious. Applications must be sponsored by a Citadel Councillor or the ambassador of an Associate Council race. Generally, applicants have many years of distinguished service in the military or police forces of their nation, but an inexperienced applicant with demonstrable talent will be fairly considered. CSEC and the Spectres are often at odds. Many CSEC members, notably current executive Venari Palin, believes that allowing Spectres to be above the law is a dangerous practice. The actions of Saren Arterius led credence to this position. The Spectres, in turn, are aggravated when CSEC's dedication to procedure and due process hampers their investigations. Oh, look at that, we actually don't have anything in there. That's nice. Humanity and the Systems Alliance. Human diplomatic relations. Okay, sure. Humanity has encountered many galactic species. Wars have been few, but mistrust is rife. Politically, the Alliance is a peaceful trade partner of the Turians. As a practical matter, however, there is simmering antagonism and bigotry between both populations over the First Contact War of 2157. The Alliance enjoys good relations with the Asari, though many privately believe the matriarchs are aristocratic and overcautious. Though humans know better than to unconditionally trust any Stellarian, their shared restless, reckless ways make them natural allies against the conservative Turians and Asari. The Krogan have no unified government, but individuals are generally treated as potential criminals, a reputation most Krogan enjoy living down to. The Alliance has no formal contact with the Quarians. Their Migrant fleet has not yet passed through any human-settled system. The Batarians are rivals for control of the Skillian Verge. They severed their treaties with the Citadel to prosecute a colonial conflict against the Alliance. Officially, there is no war, but neither is there any peace. Systems Alliance, military jargon. Ashore. When a ship's crew leaves the vessels, they are ashore. When a ship's crew leaves a vessel, they are ashore. Though normally used regarding planets, it can refer to boarding a space station. Away. When a ship releases the equipment tethering it to a space station, or surface dock, it is away. Aye aye, the proper way to acknowledge an order. If told to attack, the correct response is aye aye sir. If asked, Are you proud to be a Marine? The correct response is yes, sir. So it is not II to answer a question. ASAP, pronounced ASAP, an acronym of as soon as possible. Belay, stop, cease. Bridge, the navigation center of a spacecraft where the steering is done. Captain's mast, non-judicial disciplinary proceedings by unit commanders. Excuse me. CIC, Combat Information Center, the command center of a spacecraft. The CIC is filled with sensor displays that make sense out of the chaos of combat. DC, damage control, containment and repair of damage to a spacecraft. ECM, electronic countermeasures used to avoid enemy sensors, from passive emissions masking to active jamming. EVA, extravehicular activity, time spent in a pressure suit outside of a vehicle, spacecraft or station. Flank, the flank is the side of a military formation. Since the soldiers are facing elsewhere, an enemy that can attack on the flank can often turn it or roll it up. FNG, freaking new guys, a derisive term for inexperienced personnel. Groundside, the surface of a planet. Helmsman, the crew member who pilots a spacecraft. Radar, light amplified detection and ranging, an active sensor that bounces lasers off of an object to determine its bearing and distance. Radar has sufficient resolution that the data can be reconstructed into an image. Shore party, spacecraft crew sent ashore on official business. Silent running, an old submariners term used aboard the Normandy to denote when stealth systems are active. SITREP, abbreviation of situation report, an evaluation of the current military situation. Spacer, someone who has spent most of their life in space. XO, executive officer, the second in command of an Alliance warship. The XO is responsible for administrative and personnel matters. Systems Alliance military ranks. The Alliance uses a modified version of the ranking system that has been used for hundreds of years. Soldiers are classified into rank and file enlisted personnel, experienced non-commissioned officers, NCOs, and specially trained officers. The divide between naval personnel and ground forces, Marines, is small. Ground units are a specialized branch of the fleet, just as fighter squadrons are. This unity of command is imposed by the futility of fighting without control of orbit. Without the Navy, any army is pointless. The Marines, as a matter of pride, maintain some of their traditional rank titles. For example, Marines have privates and corporals instead of servicemen. In ascending order of responsibility, the ranks of the Alliance are Enlisted, Serviceman 3rd class, Private 2nd class, Serviceman 2nd class, Private 1st class, Serviceman 1st class, or Corporal. NCOs, Service Chief, Gunnery Chief, Operations Chief. Officers, 2nd Lieutenant, 1st Lieutenant, Staff Lieutenant, Lieutenant Commander, Staff Commander, Captain or Major, Rear Admiral or General, Admiral or Fleet Admiral. Systems Alliance, N7. The Alliance Military Vocational Code System classifies the career path of all serving personnel. The MVC consists of one letter and one number. MVC is Military Vocational Code. A soldier's MVC indicates proficiency, not rank. The letter notes career path. A soldier's MVC indicates proficiency. The letter notes career path. The number indicates the level of experience, as indicated by service record, technical scores, and commendations. All 26 letters are used, and numbers run from 1 to 7. N is the letter code for Special Forces personnel. So, basically, we've got like the max experience. Like we are, our armor says N7 on it. So. We're special. We are special forces personnel, and we are very experienced. Nice. We're getting through it, guys. We're nearly there. We're over an hour in. This is going to be an hour video. I'm not going to be able to do any missions here. I wanted to do a few missions, but we're not going to be able to. The technologies of space travel and surface mobility. FCL Drive appearance. New space travelers ask, what does it look like outside a ship moving at faster than light speed? Part of the answer can be seen in a simple pane of glass. Light travels slower through glass than it does through open air. Light also moves slower in conventional space than it does in a high-speed Mass Effect field. This causes refraction. Any light entering at an angle is bent and separated into a spectrum. Objects outside the ship will appear refracted. The greater the difference between the object's exterior and subjective interior, speed of light, the greater the refraction. As the subjective speed of light is raised with the field, objects outside will appear to redshift, eventually becoming visible only to radio telescope antenna. Excuse me. High-energy electromagnetic sources, normally hidden to the eye, become visible to the high blue spectrum. As the speed of light continues to be raised, X-ray, gamma-ray, and eventually cosmic ray sources become visible. Stars will be replaced by pulsars, the accretion disks of black holes, quasars, and gamma-ray bursts. To an outside observer, a ship within a Mass Effect drive envelope appears blue-shifted. If within a field that allows travel at twice the speed of light, any radiation it emits has twice the energy as normal, naturally. If the ship is in a field of about 200 times light speed, it radiates visible light as X-rays and gamma rays, and the infrared heat from the hull is blue-shifted up into the visible spectrum or higher. Ships moving at FTL are visible at great distances, though their signature will only propagate at the speed of light. Starships. Crew considerations. Cabins give each individual 10 cubic meters of space. On larger vessels, private rooms are common. As ships get smaller, the number of crew packed into a single wardroom increases. Asari preferred shared spaces, even on large vessels, while Krogan territorial instincts make it impossible for them to cohabitate even on the smallest ships. On smaller vessels, hot bunking is the norm. Crew members assigned to different watches share the same bunk. When one gets off duty, he wakes up the person in his bunk, while that crewman is on duty, the first gets his rack time. Spacecraft compartments can be isolated by airtight doors in case of decompression. A cinematic vision of explosive decompression is friction. Hold compartments either take enough damage that occupants are killed instantly, or leak slowly enough that they are able to reach protective gear. Compartments are equipped with emergency life support apparatus, fireproof plastic bubbles with air bottles. Small when stowed, ELSA comfortably accommodates one individual inflated. Damage control procedures cuts off ventilation to burning compartments. Without oxygen to consume, fires die in seconds. The compartment is repressurized afterwards for crew recovery. Mass Effect fields create an artificial gravity, or AGRAV, plane below the decks, preventing muscle atrophy and bone loss in 0G. Large vessels arrange their decks perpendicular to their thrust axes. The highest decks are at the bow, and the lowest at the engines. This allows AGRAV to work with the inertial effects of thrust. Ships that can land arrange their decks laterally, so the crew can move about while the vessel is on the ground. Warships normally turn off their AGRAV systems during combat, reducing the heat generated by systems and increasing combat endurance. To provide a point of reference for navigating in 0G, floors are painted a different colour from the walls and ceilings. I mean, really, let's have a look at that in a minute. Biotics. Biotic amps. Biotics manipulate Mass Effect fields using dozens of element zero nodules within their nervous systems that react to electrical stimuli from the brain. Amplifiers allow biotics to synchronize the nodules so that they can form fields large and strong enough for practical use. Amplifiers can improve a specific discipline or talent. An implant is a surgically embedded interface port into which amps are plugged in. On humans, the implant is usually placed at the base of the skull for convenient access, though the user must be careful to keep it free of contaminants. Implant ports can fit a variety of amps, and there is a growing market for modifications and add-ons. The finest quality implants and amps are manufactured by Asari artisans. The Alliance's L3 implants, first deployed in 2170, are a significant step forward. And that is it for secondaries. Oh god. What else have we got? Alright, we're nearly there, guys. Ships and vehicles.
Faster-than-light drives use element zero cores to reduce the mass of the ship, allowing higher rates of acceleration. This effectively raises the speed of light within the Mass Effect field, allowing high-speed travel with negligible relativistic time dilation effects. Starships still require conventional thrusters, chemical rockets, commercial fusion torch, economy ion engine, or military anti-proton drive. in addition to the FTL drive core. With only a core, a ship has no motive power.
Makes
the
sense.
amount of EZO and power required for a drive increases exponentially to the mass being moved and the degree it is being lightened. Very massive ships, or very high speeds, are prohibitively expensive. If the field collapses while the ship is moving at faster than light speed, the effects are catastrophic. The ship is snapped back to sublight velocity, the enormous excess energy shed in the form of lethal Cherenkov radiation.
Ooh, that could be very lethal. Military ship
Larger
classifications.
warships are generally classified in one of 4 weights. Frigates are small, fast ships used for scouting and screening of larger vessels. Frigates often operate in wolf-pack flotillas. Cruisers are middleweight combatants, faster than dreadnoughts and more heavily armed than frigates. Cruisers are the standard patrol unit and often lead frigate flotillas. Dreadnoughts are kilometer-long capital ships mounting heavy, long-range firepower. They are only deployed for the most vital missions. Carriers are dreadnought-sized vessels that also carry large numbers of fighters. Smaller vessels are almost exclusively used in a support role to the warships during combat. Fighters are one-man craft used to perform close-range attacks on enemy ships. Interceptors are one-man craft optimized for destroying opposing fighters.
Sounds cool. Normandy.
The Normandy is a prototype starship developed by the Human Systems Alliance with the assistance of the Citadel Council. It is optimized for scouting and reconnaissance missions in unstable regions using state-of-the-art stealth technology. For most ships, the heat generated through standard operations is easily detectable against the absolute zero background of space. The Normandy, however, is able to temporarily sink this heat within the hull. Combined with refrigeration of the exterior hull, the ship can travel undetected for hours or drift passively for days of covert observation. This is not without risk. The stored heat must eventually be radiated, or it will build to levels capable of cooking the crew alive. Another component of the stealth system is the Normandy's revolutionary Tantalus Drive, a Mass Effect core twice the standard size. The Tantalus Drive generates mass concentrations that the Normandy falls into, allowing it to move without the use of heat-emitting thrusters.
That's very cool. Technology.
Biotics is the ability of rare individuals to manipulate dark energy and create Mass Effect fields through the use of electrical impulses from the brain. Intense training and surgically implanted amplifiers are necessary for a biotic to produce Mass Effect fields powerful enough for practical use. The relative strength of biotic abilities varies greatly among species and with each individual. There are 3 branches of biotics. Telekinesis uses mass-lowering fields to levitate or impel objects. Mass-raising kinetic fields are used to block or pin objects. Spatial distortion uses rapidly shifting mass fields to shred objects. Most organic species are capable of developing biotic abilities, though there are risks involved. Biotics are the result of an in utero exposure to element 0. This usually causes fatal cancers in the victim, but in rare cases, it coalesces into nodules within the fetus's developing nervous system.
Element 0, EZO.
When subjected to an electrical current, the rare material dubbed Element 0, or EZO, emits a dark energy field that raises or lowers the mass of all objects within it. This mass effect is used in countless ways, from generating artificial gravity to manufacturing high-strength construction materials. It is most prominently used to enable faster-than-light space travel. EZO is generated when solid matter, such as a planet, is affected by the energy of a star going supernova. The material is common in the asteroid debris that orbits neutron stars and pulsars. These are dangerous places to mine, requiring extensive use of robotics, telepresence, and shielding to survive the incredible radiation from the dead star. Only a few major corporations can afford the setup costs required to work these primary sources. Humanity discovered refined Element 0 at the Prothean Research Station on Mars, allowing them to create mass effect fields and develop FTL travel.
Lucky for us. Mass effect fields.
Element Zero can increase or decrease the mass of a volume of space-time when subjected to an electrical current. With a positive current, mass is increased. With a negative current, mass is decreased. The stronger the current, the greater the magnitude of the dark energy mass effect. In space, low-mass fields allow FTL travel and inexpensive surface-to-orbit transit. High-mass fields create artificial gravity and push space debris away from vessels. In manufacturing, low-mass fields permit the creation of evenly blended alloys, while high-mass compaction creates dense, sturdy construction materials. The military makes extensive use of mobility-enhancing technologies, with Mass Effect utilizing fighting vehicles standard frontline issue in most military forces. Mass Effect fields are also essential in the creation of kinetic barriers or shields to protect against enemy fire.
I can imagine. That is all of it, and we are an hour, 25 minutes and 30 seconds in. That's all the time I've got for today. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, have a great time!